for everybody watching, this is an episode I think you should watch with your family. For sure. It's normal conversation for us to talk about wanting to build generational wealth, but we don't know nothing about it. Like,
when I was growing up, it was a lot of Black family businesses. Mm-hmm. Every family is actually a business.
So how at a young age do you get involved into your family business?
I'm just be honest with you, it was always there. There was some internal motivation there, but there was external motivation as well. It's like, hey, we need to make sure that we don't get kicked out of the crib, so we got to learn this skill set. You feel what I'm saying? An entrepreneur is just a mindset. A business owner is a skill set.
How is it owning a business but still balancing business and family relationship?
Being able, as they've gotten older, it has definitely been a transitional part, as it's not do what I say. We taught them to be leaders, but yet they had to be servant leaders. People don't realize this stuff is passed down through DNA. Trauma is passed down through DNA. If you have an issue with figuring out who you are, maybe you need to find out who your ancestors are. You have to figure out who you want to be. What kind of legacy do you want to leave?
Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome to Growing Painz podcast, where we talk about business and faith. I'm Tre'Vion.
Hey, y'all. I'm Yanni.
Hey, y'all. I'm Jayda.
And we have some guests, y'all.
Yes.
So, okay. Y'all introduce yourselves to our community. Let them know what y'all do. Y'all the big ones, not the little ones, okay? Let them know.
Well, I'm Dr. Tamara.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. And I'm Markus. We're the Fampreneurs.
Okay.
Yes, we pretty much help families build six-figure family businesses.
Yay.
That's what we do.
I love that. So for everybody watching, I know we have like a lot of entrepreneurs who do watch this show. This is an episode that I think you should watch with your family.
For sure.
I think it's normal it's normal conversation for us to talk about wanting to build generational wealth, but we don't know nothing about it, like at all. At all. And so I feel like what better time to like go grab your family, look, pause right now. Go get your mom, your dad,
your uncle, your brother, your sister, your
get
mama. Everybody.
And y'all just come together. Put on TV. Yes, because this is going to be an extremely valuable episode. Knowledge is everything, and sometimes we may want to do things like this, but we may be too lazy to go get the information. It may be too overwhelming to go find the information.
Because like, where do I start?
Exactly. It just may seem like such a big thing, and it's something that we're not taught about. So I think that look, we got the
Put it right in front of
exactly.
It's a very broad topic for sure.
Yeah,
it's a very broad topic.
We have a different demographics of generations, so that's important too, so you can learn from an older generation and then trickle on down. So
because y'all got the real wisdom for real, like y'all been in the game.
Exactly.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Well, my first question is, what even planted the seed? Like, before we start really getting deep into like what it looks like to build generational wealth for your family, what planted that seed? What made y'all get to the point to where y'all were like, okay, we're going to come together and actually do what it takes to build a business as a family?
Well, me being a Generation X, okay, my mom is considered a boomer generation. Right?
That's called the mummified generation in my sense. That's what that is.
Mummified generation.
Dude, stop.
That's what that is.
Stop.
Okay. Not right now.
He's always trying to say we mummified. Well, my mother is mummified.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
that's the 20th century right there.
It's kind of it's interesting. You know, here it is. We're right after the election, and you know, I was born in 1968. You guys were floating around in heaven at that time.
You see why I say mummified? You see how crazy that sounds?
You know, just the whole, you know, when I was growing up, honestly, you know, it was a lot of Black family businesses, okay? And I'm sure you've heard of the Black Wall Street, that phrase. You know, those were Black family businesses. And the thing I need you to think about is every family is actually a business.
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay.
No, on your lip.
You got it.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Every family is actually a business. You just don't know that you're operating as a business. You have someone who takes care of the bills, accounts receivables, or accounts payable. You have the visionary, you have the operations, you have the person that's marketing. You just don't realize that your family is a business. But to answer your question, and growing up, my mother always had a business. My godmother, she had owned a business, a hair salon back in the day.
Nice.
It was that press and curl.
Yes.
Y'all don't know about that. Y'all call that silk press right now. But
You are still proving my point.
shut up. But so I grew up on that. But then my sons grew up on that because their dad and we always had a business.
Yeah.
And Markus, who is about to hit the dirty 30 in next week, he's going to be 30 years old, which he's mummified now.
Wow.
But they've only seen us have a business. So that seed has always been there. And not that you shouldn't start at the bottom, and he'll explain that, because you can't think that you can have a business and you don't know what it's like to work every position and have an understanding. A lot of you folks I want to own my own business, but you don't know the dynamics of operating, starting from the bottom and to the top.
That's true.
So, I'll let Markus explain that portion.
So I'll tell when I got in the picture, right? In our generation, you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
So
Wait, they centennials.
Yeah,
You
but-
old. You
No.
mummified now.
Look,
See,
I'm only
about
five.
to
I'm only
get-
5 years from
See,
you, bro. No,
exactly,
4 years.
4
4
years.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah. See,
you
we're right
trying,
around the corner. It's
you
okay.
really
What up?
trying to throw
You
us under the
dirty
bus
30,
right now.
so, okay.
Right?
Basically, they both mummified though.
That's
No,
crazy.
I'm
Wait,
like-
whose side are you on for real?
Look, I'm
It's
still in the
That's
20s. Okay?
crazy.
I'm still in those mid-20s.
Well, he's next week, so he's not even in y'all practice anymore, okay?
I am present. I'm still 29.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we're focusing on
we're
the
still on the
present.
29s right now.
Yeah, if Alex would have been here, Alex is 27, so he's about to turn 28. So
Yeah.
he would be in a bracket, but you
Yeah.
on the other side is my
That's
side.
crazy.
Go ahead. with
Wait,
yours.
who were
funny.
born in the 2000s right now?
Them two.
Dang.
See?
That would
See?
be us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
I'm at
Wow.
the end of the 90s, 98.
All right,
Okay.
you survived. All right, you still know about that 90s era,
Yeah.
but nah.
I was still able to have like a
Centennial,
good
Yeah.
childhood, like without,
Yeah,
like,
that's when
Wait,
you
hold on.
used to run outside when you were
We
younger.
have had a good childhood too.
We
I
did.
had kids.
Yeah,
Oh,
y'all were all
y'all was
technology.
MySpace kids. So
Lord.
It's
what are we
different.
talking about?
You were sending mail. Retro letters.
Y'all had to walk to school through this now.
We had
We
no,
did.
we
We
had
did.
no internet or cell phones when I was growing up, so this is kind of crazy to hear.
I know.
Okay, this is like
It is
insane.
wild. Because
Like-
I grew up where I just got it. I didn't have my first cell phone until I was like,
13.
yeah, I was like in middle school.
Yeah, 13.
I had my
kind of messed up for y'all. That's kind of messed
We
up.
had the best childhood. Just
No.
look
They
at
don't
us.
know. They were
You guys
outside.
are too connected that you're
I
disconnected.
got my
Okay.
first phone.
That is so
in
true.
Clock that
college.
T.
On some
Clock
real
that
game.
T.
You're too connected that you're disconnected.
But we're also
Mama just
so
cracked your
connected. But this is the greatest part,
stop
though.
saying that.
We're also so connected that we can get rich as fast as possible.
Yeah, so
That's
what?
It
also
took y'all
how
a minute
connected
to
it
like
is.
In some
learn
ways.
and all of that.
Yeah, we have information overload. Y'all had lack of information.
I don't think we had
Now
lack
he's
of
spitting.
information.
Like,
We had lack of information. It was the fact that the internet allowed us, like you said, to operate with more speed and have the information. Remember, they try to stop you. Okay, we grew up with skill sets. You guys grew up, I'll say with knowledge, but y'all can't do anything with it. Why? Because you guys don't execute on it, and therefore
we do
as
have an
he's-
execution issue.
Therefore, information overload. So some of y'all can't even get no job because y'all don't have no skill set.
We
Okay,
don't even want no
so that's
job.
something to think about
That's
right
true
there.
too.
So
No
with
job.
not having how do you begin to get in the picture of your family business and all of that? How do you begin to learn, as you said, there's different tiers and
Yeah.
different roles you have to play in order to nurture running a business and keeping it allowing it to be successful. So how at a young age do you get involved into your family business?
I'm to be honest with you, it was always there.
Okay.
From my perspective, I was born into. So to give you how I like to explain it, most children have to go through struggle in a sense, right? Like their parents didn't teach them anything. There's a sense of struggle that's there. They got for me and my brother, we were born into wealth. Right. So I always like to explain it in that way. So we were family business was always a thing.
Okay.
My mom made her first $1 million at the age of 32.
Why you talking about that?
And then, you know what I'm saying? Look, she did that. she lost it all, but then became the top, 50 in the country?
I was one of the
producers in multi-level marketing, right? So she gained it all back, and she was able to pass it down. She learned from before and was able to be like, you know what, I don't want to ever go through that situation again. So with us, we were always in family business. It just now in the past 7 years we publicly educated. So when I got into the mix, I was forced into the mix.
Yeah, because you were born into it, right?
That, but literally forced. My mom said that if you don't learn this skill set, I'm kicking you out of the house.
Real quick. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Tap in,
twin. Take a 5-second break and go subscribe.
Exactly. We got so much on our channel, y'all. We got vlogs, we got challenges, we got silent library, we got everything. So what are you doing? Go subscribe right now.
What are you doing?
Go
subscribe.
Stand on business. Go stand on business.
Stand on business, yeah.
Let's get back into the episode.
So it was like a forceful, and we ended up liking it. My brother and I ended up was like, oh, that's cool, we'll do it because we definitely don't want to work no job either, So there was some internal motivation there, but there was like external motivation as well. It's like, hey, we need to make sure that we don't get kicked out of the crib, so we got to learn this skill set. You feel what I'm saying? So we learned at the time, it was trading, forex trading to be more specific, and from there we got really, really good at it. And then for me, how I kind of got into the mix 100%, because I wasn't like fully committed at the time, but like how I fully got into the mix is when a lot of people kept asking us how we how exactly did you get your family involved? Like the question,
what did I used to say?
I don't remember.
I said I would beat them.
No, but honestly, I think in a sense, I think it's okay, because the reason I say that is because I think it allows you to focus on something. It allows you to weed out all of the things of having just playing games and just sitting around. Like, it allows you to actually become great at something. Like, different example, different successful families such as Joe Jackson and his family, and the Wayne brothers. It allows you to really focus on something and go after something. So I don't, in a sense, it there's different ways to go about it, but everybody has their own way, and I think it's a healthy balance.
Their father and I, their dad and I, we kind of planted different seeds, and I want to make sure, I want to give a correction. There were a couple of multi-level marketing companies that I was in, that I was one of the top 20 or top 50 in that particular company, because network marketing is a very big, vast industry. So I want to make sure that there's a correction on that. So it's a couple of companies that I was a top person in. But our thing was planting that seed in reference to Markus and Alex public speaking. They were in botillion, so things like that. Girls have cotillions, but they were in botillions. So how to speak to people, speak clear and concise.
Facts.
I do not wear.
Yes, that's
for sure.
Because just because, and I think there is a lack of. Don't take it the wrong way. You guys have gotten so lackadaisy, and I'm like, say your words clearly.
And
how
with confidence.
That's
where the comes in. It's a filler.
Exactly.
I even noticed a lot of us our age. My bad. I noticed that a lot of us our age, we all tend to say things like and just different filler words that's unnecessary throughout a conversation.
Or be.
Yeah.
I be doing
So that's
that.
important.
I gotta stop.
And
it's a culture thing in certain cities too.
And the other thing is, I didn't shake anybody's hand when I walked in today. Those things speak volumes, and also adds to the character of who you are. So whenever you, in any business setting, when you meet, yes, I don't mind the hugs, but generally it's a handshake, with men, you know what I'm saying? But if we were at somebody's office, you wouldn't be hugging them. You would be shaking their hand, So I think we've gotten so comfortable. Not that there's nothing wrong with being relaxed, but when we're in a business environment, you treat it as business, and so I think that, but then again, that's our generation. You guys' generation is slightly different. I mean, we're talking to centennials, and then we're talking to mummification over here. So the dirty thing. So, but no, that we've always planted that seed of making sure, that you are, what have I used to say to you guys? I said, your core value, when you're out there, people are going to see your core
100%.
value,
Yeah.
you know, of who you are. So you're representing your family.
But then see the thing about that too is that you say that, but I think for the audience, they don't really know like what core values are, right? Like people know what values are. Like I value myself, right?
Yeah.
Like everything that embodies myself. But like I'll give you an example of a value, and then I'll give you an example of how she implemented it, right? So let's say execution is one of our family values, right? And so one of those things when we were younger, she had us at age 8, she had me and my brother cold calling, and at age 11 we were public speaking, right? So I don't the sense of fear when people have public speaking, I can't relate.
Yeah.
There is some like relatability that's hard on my end because there's a barrier because I wasn't like that, right? When I was growing up, where public speaking was, I can't public speak. I'm fearful.
Yeah.
I don't know how it feels, stuff like that, because I never, fear is sometimes taught or caught. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those type of things are different. So like an example of how to create core values and why that makes sense is like, you have to look at yourself and you say, what characteristics do I embody that I want passed down?
Yeah.
What things do I like that I want passed down? And then you just create 3 to 5 different versions of them that you embody. And then you say, these are the values that I want to pass down to my children. So there are some values that she has, like integrity. That's one of our values that she embodies that now we embody that we would pass down to our children. You get what I'm saying? Like, so like, it's just things that you view yourself. And sometimes it can be other people too. Like there may be like, oh, I love how honest she is, right? I want honesty too. Do you know what I'm saying? So that could be a core value. So it's not always internal. It can also be external. But those are ways when she says, I pass down core values, those are kind of like the things that she's talking about.
That's really good. And that's something I've actually been thinking about recently, is how leaving a legacy doesn't have to just mean financial. Like it could mean like how you carry yourself, your name, your character. Like I'm starting to realize like it's way bigger than just
100%.
finances.
Yes.
And so Mama, you was about to kick him out if he did.
Most definitely.
Yeah, she was.
Okay, so
Mom and Dad, so yeah.
Okay. So in correlation to that, we actually wanted to ask, like, how is it owning a business but still like balancing business and family relationship, like not letting stuff in the business leak into like the relationship in the family or the bond.
You should
And
definitely ask her that question.
if there's been any stories, we would love to hear of the time y'all had to overcome.
I wish Alex was
like
here.
Man.
But I will definitely say, Daddy and I, rest his soul, because their dad now, we ended up getting divorced, but we're very close regardless of the fact, because we had 2 children together, and that was something that was pretty major, is for them to always know that he was there for them just as much as I was there. So they were part there, part with me. But for me, it was more of with business now, like their dad, he had his business. He was the photographer. He had his photography business. And we had, and I had my business. But being able, as they've gotten older, it has definitely been a transitional part for me, because it's not do what I say. They're adults now. I have to respect them. They're men.
100%.
I have to respect their point of view, their opinions, what they bring to the table. We didn't, teach them and nurture them along the way to just always be yes people. We taught them to be leaders, but yet they had to be servant leaders as well, because you can't sit up here and just be all about money. That's it's not like that. But in reference to, does it leak in? Yes. And you're like, Mom, he still calls me Mama Mia sometimes in business, whereas Alex calls me Dr. T in business.
Yeah, we switched the names.
All right.
But I switched the tone.
Right. It's the tone, his tone, and so it's funny because I was doing everything from the marketing to operations, this and the other. So it kind of separated. Now he's operations. Alex is marketing. I'm considered the visionary, you know, and we're sales. So, but it was definitely difficult from them turning from teenagers, from my sons to teenagers to adults, and then them trying to buck back. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
100%.
What? You know, but we taught them to be honest and to say how you felt and not, you know, not cower down and this, you know, or not be afraid to speak up. So even though I'm mom, you know, they still have to do it respectfully.
Yeah.
They, you know, and now we have our meetings. So I want to take it on over to him because we do believe in family therapy. We do believe in having,
That's good.
we have our weekly meetings. And in a year's time, we may miss maybe 4 or 5 weekly meetings, but we have a standing weekly meeting that we have every single Saturday at 10 and 11. So we can say how we feel.
Yeah.
So we won't carry it over and then having resentment as we're working our business and to say, hey, you know, I'm an adult too. You know, my opinion matters. So we do business and then we do family. So we can say what we need to say and then we can move forward and then we don't have any anxiety or resentment and things like that.
That's
so
good.
Markus, what do you say?
100%. I mean, you touched on a lot of key points. To speak on, so we have something called the 5-level meetings, right? That we teach. So she talked about 2 of them, which is the family therapy, the family legacy meetings, which are weekly, right? We also have individual therapy that we do. We also do the dinner nights. You pick a day for dinner, and then the game nights.
Okay.
Oh,
You get what I'm saying?
That's nice.
So we have like 5
healthy
things.
We work on that continuously.
We do work on. There are some times where we can't hit all 5 in a month or in a week or whatever. But like we do our best to do it. Like yesterday was like a game night. Of course that was election night. So like we played cards, this, that, and the third. We had dinner. We had a lot of different things. But we also do annual retreats. I'm sorry, that's one thing I missed, right? So we do like annual retreats where it's either domestic or international. So we went to Dubai the last time for an international one, which of course is we went twice in 1 year, which is of course a write-off.
Yeah.
Right. So you know, we also know tax strategies in order for it to make sense. So everything's a tax strategy and everything is up under a trust. So like everything is always protected at the same time. So like everything we do is very intentional when it comes to the family meeting or family business in general. And to answer your question in a bit more tactful way.
What, I wasn't tactful?
No, more I wasn't tactful, not you. But you were talking about you said something, I can't remember, but you said that it's not generational wealth isn't always financial.
Yeah.
So there's 2 types of ways of family business, right? So you have the legal side, which I like to also include financial, and then you have the family side, right? So the one we were referring to with core values is the family side. So what we love to do as a family business is duplicate what the government is doing. They're the best when it comes to building generational wealth. I don't think anyone ever thinks about that. They have a system to elect more people. They have a system to remove people. They have a system for laws. They have systems for conflict resolutions. All these things that they've implemented, all we do is mimic what they're doing and put it into our family business. So if they have a constitution, we have a family constitution.
Correct.
If they have legislation or the 3 branches of government, right, the legislation, judicial, and executive, then we have that within our family.
Correct.
Right? So in a way that works is the executive would be called the family council. The judicial would be the council of elders, or you could say the advisory council, whichever one you feel like using. And then you have the legislative is the family assembly. That's like the meetings that I was talking about. So like all those meetings I said will be in like the family assembly side. And then you'd have a certain people. So like we're considered the family council because we're like the head of family business, right? So you would know based off someone's work ethic, you would know based off of how strong they are with the values that's been passed down. There's certain things, right? And then of course the elders are the mummified people that I was talking about, right? So you have the council of elders, like your grandparents, stuff like that. Those are the people that kind of, you know, in the native times where they used to be elders and they would go back. Native Americans, you know, back, my bad. And back in the, yeah, you know what I mean? Back in, you know, when there was Native Americans, the Indians and stuff, you feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
They go to the elders.
Or the African tribes.
Yeah, that too, though. They used to do it, but I'm just relating it to like America. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, for sure, we did it as well. But they would have elders that they would go to talk to, and they would be like the judgments in a sense.
Yeah.
It's the same principles now. So it's very like intentional and specific to answer your question.
Wow. That's inspirational.
Definitely.
For real. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about was I see how you raised them. It's incredible. Like I feel like that's not something that I see often.
We get told that sometimes.
Yeah.
It's definitely not normal.
Yes. And even I've talked to my dad, and he's talked about how he feels like the younger generation, or he feels like the generation, honestly, probably late 1990s and so on and so forth. He feels like the parenting style just became really like soft.
Yeah.
And so even how you mentioned, like, you said something about you would beat them. Like,
literally.
I get what you're saying, but
You could have fooled us. You could have fooled
Your
us.
dad, all he had to do was this.
yeah,
That's all he, am I right or wrong? He was like,
literally.
We would lose the breath.
right.
We would lose.
Whereas with me, I'd be like, lay on the floor, I'm getting the paddle.
Yeah. That is hilarious.
But yes, to what you're saying,
yes,
it is different.
And so my dad, me and him have talked about that, and he feels like often he gets asked the same question as far as how were you able to, what did you do to raise your daughter for her to be able to go build her own business and things like that? And he would always say, I would beat her. Like, that would be his answer. Like, she is how she is. Cause
He said what?
He would say, because I would beat her. Not
The
like,
same thing,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay, so
Exactly.
Okay.
And so he would have, like, his employees would ask him, well, my sons or my daughters, they're in their 20s. What do I do with them now? Like, they've already been raised at this point. So he would have people ask him, what do I do with my children now? They're grown. How do I start to get them to like change their way of living or mindset? And so since we do have so many people who are entrepreneurs watching and they're in their 20s or maybe like late teens, that's also a question I want to ask you is, do you think it's possible to change, almost like change how your child thinks, even though they're adult, like help them become this person who can fit in this like fampreneur way of life, you know? Is that possible? And if so, what do you think that would look like? Because at that point you're already became your own person.
Right.
Yeah,
You are who you are.
That's a great question.
It's a matter of discipline also as to what it is that you decide that you want to do. I always implore anybody to say, hey, look, you've got to learn a skill set. If what you're doing is not working for you, a skill set will always allow you to make money. Don't get me wrong, I love my hairstylist, but there are other skill sets that you can do, you know. And for a lot of people, like, oh, I'm going to be an influencer, I'm going to be a podcast. It takes time for that to grow.
Oh, we know.
And make money. It's not going to be overnight. So you need something that you're going to have an opportunity to fall back on that's going to always generate you some money until you have grown that particular business. So when you're talking about your core value, each family per se, and and some people don't have both mother and father, right? They generally lean on to one person, or they just may have that one person, or that some of them don't even have parents. Okay, because we've met that, and I'm Mama T to everybody, okay? But at the end of the day, you have to figure out who you want to be, okay? What kind of person, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? And if you have an issue with figuring out who you are, maybe you need to find out who your ancestors are.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
That's why I brought it up. Okay.
I forgot to mention
you need to figure out where your people come from as to why you're acting the way you're acting. And people don't realize this stuff is passed down through DNA. Trauma is passed down through DNA. You know, how you act. So you have to figure out and decide, one, who do I want to be? Where my people are from? What's my plan for the future? And how do I execute and have a skill set in addition to, so I know how I'm going to proceed to build my wealth while I'm working on my wealth. Okay, this is going to take care of my household stuff, but this is going to build my wealth. You got to make that decision on what it is that you're going to do.
That is good. You were about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to define what generational wealth looks like to you.
Correct.
Yeah.
I say this all the time, like when we talk to people that want to be in our community, like, yeah, I want to leave a legacy, I want to build generational wealth. I'm like, okay, what does that look like? Like, how, like visually tell me what that looks like. And I feel like for people that are in the age group that y'all are in at the moment, I think first you got to know how to make money, right? So of course we all want generational wealth, but like you got to learn how to make money first. So she made a valid point. Some of the influencers in the podcast is a long-term thing, right? It's a long-term play. It's not something that's like immediate. So the thing that I would always recommend is something like get into sales. No, you know, Forex trading is also a skill set, but that's also something that takes a while. So I would say get into sales first. Learn how to sell first. It's something that you can learn in 30 days and make money the next day type of vibe, right? If you want to learn how to make money first, and then that is obviously a skill set that you can pass down, right? You will never have a sales issue within your family ever again if you do that, right? So but I would define what that looks like if you know, but that comes after you learn how to make money, right? So like if you're 20 years old, you got to learn how to make money first. And we like to say you have to learn how to make a generational skill set. And a generational skill set first is that you need to learn how to make a high ticket skill set, which is something that can make you $10,000 a month. Everybody needs to make $10,000 a month first, bare minimum, and that's cheap. Okay. Then you need to focus on how can I duplicate that so that I can make a generational wealth or create a generational skill set. Because after you learn a skill set, then now you just need to learn how to duplicate it, which then it becomes generational. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So to go back to what she was saying about you have to learn where you come from. Sometimes when defining it, you don't know who you are when it comes to generational wealth. Like you might say, oh, I definitely want to just pass on wealth. Okay, great. But there are some people that are like, well, I don't even know who I am. I don't even have a family. I don't even know my roots. So talking to those type of people, first you need to, know where you come from. Let's say you have one parent in the household. Where did that side of the family come from? And you need to go all the way back. With our family, we went as far as the 1800s, early 1800s. And then from all that data that we collected, we then realized, okay, who else is so big in generational wealth right now? The Queen Elizabeth, the King Charles. And then what do all these families have in common? Right? They have like these right here, a family crest. Yes. Do you know what I'm saying? So like they have a family crest that they pass down, that's also something that's outside of financial that can be passed, right? So like these are just small things. It's about detail. As you can see, it's really about detail.
Business, we branded. I'm sorry.
You're good. Go ahead. I'm finished. Yeah.
Just the family business matters. Our
the
family
necklace.
seal, our crest. I mean, he said it. I just had to say that because people are like, you guys are always branded down on everything. And
you should be.
Where's the book?
Oh, right here.
Like even we don't go anywhere without our book. The Black Rockefellers. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we want to teach. You have that opportunity to build the wealth, and Markus said it so eloquently. And I need to say, a lot of people are not going to do sales. Okay,
they're not. No,
because they're afraid to get in front of the camera. Yeah. I mean, when I say camera, I'm speaking of a different skill set. People are scared to get in front of the camera, so they don't do podcasts. They may have an amazing idea, but they can't. Like, I'm scared to be in front of the camera, not realizing that you can do a faceless YouTube, right? Sales is not easy, but it's the most rewarding. Okay, but the thing is, people need to understand that you're selling yourself every day. Everything that you do is based on a sale. Yeah. You are selling your podcast. We need y'all to come and watch our podcast. That's a sale. No matter what you say or what you may think, you're selling yourself. But if you can't do that, then whether it's electrical, whether it's heating and air, whether it is, becoming a hairstylist, whether you're in construction, whether you're a person that, back in the day, it used to be seamstress, or you're doing accounting. Those are skill sets that will always be here. And the only reason why I'm mentioning that is because that takes care of your bills, and then your idea takes care of your wealth. And then add sales in there as well. So I just want to make sure, because he says sales, yes, because it's rewarding, and it is. You can make that quick, instant money. But there are a lot of people who are afraid to talk to people. So you just got to find other things that will allow you to still build what you need to build to get you where you need to go, your stepstone to get you where you need to go.
That's good. I really want to give you guys y'all like flowers.
No, for
because
sure.
Something I'm realizing, like, as you guys are talking, is y'all do a lot of studying in the game. Like, y'all are looking at other families, looking at how the government is structured and implementing these things in y'all family business. I feel like that's really admirable, because I've never heard of like a family that is intentional about structuring the family, structuring a business in the family, passing things down outside of wealth, especially a black family. So
yeah, for sure.
That's your guys' generation.
Yeah, and also with the generation, what I notice is like everybody wants to like be their own individual or have their own presence or product or offer, and nobody wants to like really come together and do stuff. And it's so many things to like touch on that you guys spoke about. I know for me, I was definitely like, it brought to my attention just about character. And even like the book is something that can always be sold. It's not like as if you guys are just always constantly chasing after $1.
Right.
And one thing that I wanted to ask about character is basically, how do you begin? Because as you said, things are passed down by DNA and trauma. So how do you begin to, as they're getting older and they're growing up, how do you begin to allow them to be assertive, yet still have integrity, yet still be able to express themselves with the correct tone when they are speaking to you?
You talking to me?
Yes.
There are times when they do have to be checked, like watch your tone. Okay, I am.
That still exists.
My other son, his brother, you would think he was my father. I said, dude, my dad is in Chicago. Like, what are you doing? Because he has that authoritative, but again, whereas he acts like he's my brother, and I'm like, leave me alone, okay? Like he acts like my little brother, but that's the beauty of growing with your children and just being able to grow from them being your child and being their parent to building a beautiful relationship. And that deals with therapy as well, because again, there may be things that we may have passed down that was traumatic for them, and we didn't know because we had trauma and they passed it on.
For sure.
So that,
I can give you an example.
Yeah, like I was asking real quick, like asking like how, people like will say things like, oh, because I said so, and not explaining as to why you are doing.
Do as I say.
So that's one thing that I had to explain to our mom, that she now has a better understanding of. Back in those times, it was always instructive, right? It was always like authoritative, like do as I say, this is what I say.
Stand in a child's place.
Right.
Yes,
right.
That's what I was gonna say too.
Right.
But as
it's
a child,
different.
you should. But
I think Myron Golden said it best. It's like when they get to a certain age, you train them, then you teach them, then you coach them.
Right.
Right. So there's different levels at different ages, and he said it was 4 levels, but I can't remember all of them.
And that's what I've done for you guys, right?
Yeah, for sure. And there were certain ones that he had said. But to answer your question, the first thing that someone should do if they're not in the place that we're at is to have a weekly family legacy meeting. That's the very first thing that you should do. Like, y'all should be on one accord first. And it's going to take a very long time for all of y'all to be on one accord. I think it took us like 6 months, maybe even longer than that, right? But I think it was like, we were bumping heads a lot, right? Her and I still bump heads, but we only bump heads, honestly, when it comes to business. We don't bump heads like personally, right? We don't bump heads like that.
Dude, you get on my nerve. You come in my office and you bother me all the time.
Bothering is different.
Jesus Christ.
Bothering is different from like arguments, though.
Or when I come in your room.
Yeah, like that's just bothering though. That's just like family stuff. That's just natural.
Right.
But like I mean like arguments, like when we're like at each other's throats, metaphorically.
Yeah.
Like that's usually like it's business. But I would start with the family legacy meeting. We always say it's broken down into 2 different parts. You have a founders meeting, which is the business, and then you have a family meeting, right? So the founders is where you talk about money. I'm going to be honest with you. I say this every time. I can't be friends or family with you if I'm poor.
If we broke.
Like, there's no way. What conversation are we having right now? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm broke. Well, I need to bond with you. Like that's because that's really what it is. Like we don't get along because what if everyone was wealthy? Do you think we'd have so many problems?
Right.
No, it's a money problem first, right? So we got to solve the money problem. You know, you got to talk about your credit score. What's all y'all credit scores like? And if everyone has bad credit score,
I got a 700, close to 800. It's like 793.
7 what?
793.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's great.
Yes.
That means she knows and she just feel uncomfortable.
Do you know or you don't know?
I haven't checked it in a year, but I know that it's not good, and so
that means you need to have some family legacy meetings then.
With yourself.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's not always I do something before we did the meetings. If it's individual, if a person doesn't have a family, this is what I used to do. I used to do like a weekly review, right? So like this is before we did. Like this is when because I still do this. Journaling is what I was referring to. I would journal to myself and I'd be like, okay, what did I do this week to get to my goal? So I would always have 3 to 5 goals, and I would have 3 to 5 tasks every single day to see if I can hit that goal at the end of the week. And then I would review at the end of the week, see if I hit that. This is if you're starting individually, right? But if you're starting with the family, then the family legacy meetings would be ideal. We would always say ideally start with that one, right? But you gotta get your money right. And then if you're at home, or even if you're not at home, even if it's traveling, hop on a Zoom call, right? And then do the family meetings. We do that with our grandparents.
Yeah, we do that with the rest of the family. We're on Zoom. I didn't mean to
no, you're good.
In,
and then we rate each other 1 to 10. Like, how do y'all feel about me from 1 out of 10? Oh, I give you an 8 this week. I give you a 2. I give you a 5.
And then we're straight up.
Yeah, we're honest. It has to be an honest opinion. You can't sugarcoat it. You got to be honest. And then you say, what can you do to get closer to a 9 or a 10? Yeah. Or what can I do to get closer to a 9 or a 10?
That's so
and then you're just honest about it.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So one thing about the credit though, like for sure, I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. Like if you feel uncomfortable, because it's just lack of knowledge. Even for me, like I don't even know what I'm doing to like grow the credit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's like one thing. But as far as there was one question I was gonna ask, like, what are you doing, Mom, for the kids for like trust and like building a trust and all of that stuff? And even like once Dad passed, like where does his assets go, and how do you teach them to keep the assets as they get married and different things like that, to keep the wealth going?
Markus made a very valid point, and to, like you said, you didn't know how you got there. That's an issue. Yeah. And I'm not being negative or anything like that. You not knowing your credit score and you're 26, that's not good. And it's not to put you down or anything like that. And do you know yours?
No.
And how old are you?
I'm 21.
21.
God, dog, that's crazy. Oh, man.
Beautiful baby girl.
Thank you.
Beautiful young woman.
Amen.
You rephrase that, because you're a
you.
young woman. It's imperative in this time that we live in, because everything is based on a number. Everything is based on your credit score. And from whether you're getting car insurance to whether you are, if you have a job, if you get direct deposit, if you are opening up a checking account, if you're getting health insurance, everything is based on credit. So at this point, you got to start there.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to, that's your foundation, in all honesty, because everything is based on credit.
Yeah.
You was talking about trust.
I'm going to that, son.
Oh, I thought you forgot. Your mind went, your eyes rolled back. I was like,
I
thought she forgot.
Dude, like, I'm talking. Okay. Okay. I had to say that because when she said she hadn't checked it in a year, you should be checking consistently because of the fact that there's so much identity theft. Okay. When it came to the trust, when Dad died of COVID, okay, there were some things that were in place. And then I almost died the following year. But there were things that were in place. I'm remarried now, but there were some things that were in place. The trust is imperative to protect you. The trust is not going to alleviate all taxes. So I want to make sure everybody knows that. They're like, oh, you get a trust, you ain't paying no taxes. No.
There's taxes in the trust.
Right. It's taxes within a trust. But there are some certain things that you're able to protect yourself with, like from probate. Mm-hmm. We have one of our mentees whose mother just died, and it was $450,000 left, and she couldn't even get to the money. Or our other mentees, and here it is in Albany, Georgia, Albany, let me make sure I say that right, in Albany, and here it is, they had 100 acres, and everybody's fighting over it, because part of them want to sell the land, and the other don't. I'm like, why not lease the land? So for 99 years, so you guys are always making a residual. Facts. You know, so you need to have a trust in place. You need to know where your credit stands, because all of this builds into the actual trust, where you have an opportunity to get actual insurance that you can actually live off of. But again, this is what they didn't show us within our community, that you can actually live off of insurance, that you can literally take credit, you can expunge that, you can literally liquidate that credit, put it into an insurance policy, allow it to grow and make money, borrow from it, and build a business from it. And that's what you want to do. If you want to be smart, that's what you do.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's how we protect ourselves.
Buy one of them.
Yes. That's how we're protecting ourselves. Because, again, a will doesn't always protect you. It can be pierced.
Okay.
I want you guys to understand that. If you, let's just say you're mom and dad, and we're the siblings. And then there's a child on the side, because we had that situation happen with one of our other mentees. And this child that you guys didn't know about says, oh, well, the dad died and he left $1 million. Well, I need my cut. And they like, who are you? Yeah. Well, I'm one of the siblings. Well, no, we have a will. It doesn't matter. I'm one of the siblings, so I get part of that as well. But if a trust is in place, you can dictate where everything goes, and nobody can do anything about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully that answered your question.
That does.
Yeah, that was
and
good.
even real quick, even with the like credit, I do understand the factor of like paying your bills on time. That very minor like level of like credit, or I have a car note, and that's how the credit is being built. But like understanding like how to grow it and stuff, like I don't understand that stuff. So I do. That definitely gives me like clarity, and getting into class, educating myself.
Yes.
For all of those reasons. Last thing, even like with the insurance, I know that I've been talking to like an accountant, and he was just saying that with me getting an apartment, he was like, don't just rent out an apartment. You can be, he was saying something of like how I can set it up as like I'm in the military or something like that. And so, yeah, just being more like educating myself more and educating like my family and stuff. So that way we can all do things to a smarter scale and not just like, oh, let's make money, you know?
Well, this is where the internet comes into play, where you guys have an opportunity to make more money for this reason. So when somebody's saying, well, oh, y'all live in ancient, y'all mummification, okay? But the thing about it is, you guys we have so much information now that we can make money. True, I agree. But again, we're on information overload, so we don't know which one is right. Okay, what do I do? What do I do, right? But all of the information is there.
For sure.
A question that I had was, so lately I've been talking to my dad over the past few weeks, and he's been seeing my fashion brand grow. I have a couture fashion brand. He's been seeing my brand grow.
By the way.
Thank
amazing.
you. So he's been seeing it grow, and now he wants to be a part of it. He just made his like first like investment into my brand. He paid for my manufacturing, and I just was assuming, oh, he's being nice, this is a gift. And then he was like, oh, now we're partners.
Is there an agreement?
No, but
until anything is in writing,
he gave you a gift.
that man gave you a gift. That's exactly what he gave you. Until there's an agreement, then it don't mean anything.
And trust and believe, when you go, Dad, we need to put this in writing, he's going to be like, what you know about that?
Yeah,
it needs to be in writing.
Yeah, we have an agreement with each other.
Yes,
that's
written
good.
One.
Yes.
Okay,
it's signed.
That is good. That's something I definitely need to talk to him about then. Because what I was going to ask was, I guess talking to y'all, at first, my original thought was I'm nervous to let my dad in my business. He's very smart and successful as well, but I think it's like, oh, I built this, so I want to keep this
to yourself.
Or I'll hire people.
Not
saying I don't want to delegate and hire people, but as far as like him like partner,
Yeah.
like saying, "Oh, I'm going to partner with my family and start bringing them into my business." It's like, "Who? I've had this
My
for
other
so
son
long."
is like that.
Yeah, it
He's
makes me a
super
little
like that.
nervous.
He's like that. He's
Here-
like that.
Here's the thing, though, right? Not everybody's an executive in your family.
Yeah.
That's the thing that also has to be stated.
Or a business owner.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So some people are really, really good at being employees,
Yeah.
and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Some people are really, really good at being business owners. There's a difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner,
Yeah.
by the way, right? So he made, because an entrepreneur is just a mindset. A business owner is a skill set.
Yeah.
There's a totally different ball game with that, right? And so you would then have to judge. I don't want to say judge. Judge may be a wrong word to use. You may have to observe if he has first, which one of the three, an employee mindset, an entrepreneur, or a business owner.
Yeah.
And if he has a business owner, then you have a hard, no matter what, you'll have to have a hard conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
An uncomfortable conversation.
Right. And so you're going to have to talk to him and say, okay, well, look, I'm going to tell you what to say. Okay. So because I've had a similar situation like that
What was that?
with Dwayne.
Oh, okay.
Right. So,
That's my current husband.
right.
Okay, gotcha.
Their bonus dad.
Right.
Yeah.
So how you would approach it is, one, what mom always says, you always want to go in with honey than with vinegar.
Catch more bees with honey.
Yes.
than you do with
Right.
vinegar.
So you want to come in with positive energy, love energy, and you want to say, "Hey, Dad, I just want to sit you down for a moment. I want to have a serious conversation. I know you're wanting to invest and start and work together with me on my business, on the brand. I would just want to have a conversation to see where you'd be a good fit." Do you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you allow him to talk. You say, "Hey, where do you feel you could add value to the brand?" And allow him to answer that question. Don't try to dictate it. Just because it's your business doesn't mean that the business is Louis Vuitton,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to put ego involved. That's really what I'm saying, right? Because that's what we love to do, because it's our baby. It's like, we need to have, I need everything, all control. It's not a
Yeah.
controlling thing. Louis Vuitton wasn't built on control.
Yeah.
It was built on collaboration. And that's what
And delegation.
right. And that's something that you have to also think about. So when you're talking to him, allow him to give the value. Oh, I think I can give the financial side. I think I can, I have experience in this. I think I can help you market the business. I have marketing friends. I have this.
Yeah.
And so if he has if he brings executive value,
I think he does. That's what
Then
he's
you
a
would-
CIO now.
right. So then he would need to be a C-suite executive.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
But then you have to decide on what the percentage, and that's why I was
100%.
raising my hand.
Yep.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to interrupt
No, go
your
ahead.
train of thought.
You're fine.
Then it's a matter of, okay, what percentage of the company are you wanting? Am I just the face? Am I doing all the work?
Yeah.
So how do I get paid? So the question now goes to, what is the structure of your business?
Yeah.
'Cause that's what I help in our business when we're helping other families. That's what we kind of talk about. It's like, okay, it took us a minute because I used to do everything from the operations to the marketing, just everything. Then Markus was marketing at first, and Alex was operation, and then they switched because each one of them were better at. Alex is better at the marketing.
Yeah.
Markus is better at operations. So you have to make a decision. And Dwayne, my husband, is better at support. It's like, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. He's the one that's the worker bee that works in the field. But the question I have for you is, do you have a problem with delegating?
I think a little bit. Yeah. I'm just now starting to delegate.
Because you're not going to grow if you don't have a team.
I want to. I think it's just a mindset thing that keeps me from doing it. But I've just started to delegate like within the past few months.
Your business
you're
won't
new
grow
at it.
if you stay a solopreneur.
Yeah.
You have to be able to delegate. That was an issue for me of control.
100%.
I'm like, I don't want them in my business. I don't want them.
They shouldn't be in my Instagram account. They don't need to have my password. They don't need to
Yeah.
have this. They don't need to have that.
But how are we going to grow?
I'm like,
Exactly.
Like, seriously. So
Yeah.
when it comes to dad, he gave you from a male point of view.
for sure.
All right. you know, you got to stroke these men's egos, right? Even if it is dad, right?
That's crazy how you got to do
stroke
that.
their ego, all right? Again, you catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. And when you sit down and you put the numbers on the paper of whatever it is that he invested in you, did it grow and make money? See, because everything is about data.
Yeah.
We're all about
100%.
data. What you gave, did it make a return?
Was there a return on investment?
Was there a return on that? Okay, because you're talking about you're a partner, but what else are you going to be doing besides offering the money, right? You know, are you going to consistently keep giving flow into the company? And if that's the case, if he's a silent partner, and you say, hey, Dad, as I would really like to have and when you have this conversation, do not have it in a living room or, you know, have it in a business setting so he can know that you're serious.
Yeah, got it. You got to frame it. Yeah, I forgot about that. It's all about the pre-frame.
You need to come with some data, some information. Say, this is where I stood before you got here. And this is where I stand when you place that investment into my company.
That's good.
Okay? You see what I'm saying? And then you can say, okay, well, Dad, based on, you know, and I love you, Dad, and I appreciate everything that you've done. And I wouldn't have been able to get to this portion right here if it wasn't for you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
But we need to have a serious conversation. Are you going to be investing more? Based on these numbers, this is where it stands, and this is where we are now. Then you can make an executive decision and say, Dad, we need to put it in writing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we need to have a trust, business trust.
Yeah.
Then we need to have if it's making over a certain amount,
yeah,
you know, it could be a corporation. Then you have your LLC, and then you have your payroll, and all of it can trickle up and then come on down. And then he gets a check, and you get a check, and the rest of the money goes into the business, and it continues to go where it needs to go so you can grow your business. That's how you got to come to him.
Okay.
That's the only thing he's going to be able to understand.
Yeah.
100%. Data is the most important thing.
That was very helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was really, really, really good.
May I ask? Okay, so that was good for you, Jayda. Like, that's really good.
And we gotta hear from her too.
Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I wanted Yanni and like myself to speak on, but definitely Yanni because we want to hear more from you. Like, your grandmom is helping like with the carpets, and then it just made me think in my mind of like how my family, they have said like they want to support. Like, my grandmom, she recently retired. She was like, what can I do to like be involved? And I had like kind of a sense of like control issues, or like I don't want everybody in my business, or I don't want this and that, or, you know, family, like having people like your family involved, it just causes like friction and stuff. And so I have multiple people in my family that want to help. My mom, my little brother, my aunt is a photographer, but she be having like, you know, struggle. And with that being said, it just allowed me to like come up with different ways of how they can get involved. So like, definitely, as you share, Yanni, are you able to give us like insight as well, just on what we can do in order to just like
ask from Markus or from me?
Both.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, because like he said, I just dropped some rugs, some doormats to say "Walk Wisely with God" for my Christian streetwear brand.
That's dope.
And my grandma, she makes them by hand. Literally, I go all the way to North Carolina, pick them up, and drive all the way back.
That sounds like something that need to be delegated on its own.
I got some in the car, girl. If you want one. But yeah, so she is starting to help me, and ever since we started working on this project together, I now look at my brand as more like in a bigger scale of like, okay, this is bigger than just something I'm just doing or I'm just building. Like, this is something that I can bring my family on because, you know, my grandma, she's so talented. She like loves doing arts and crafts. And then my dad, he's really good at like giving me business advice and stuff like that because he's an electrician. And so my aunt, like, she's really good with like paperwork and stuff like that. And sometimes that is too much for me. So she'll tell me like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. And so I guess whatever you guys would say, because I know y'all gave Jayda really good advice. So I don't know if you guys catch anything in like my story of anything. Okay, ears open.
You just said that your family was a business.
Yeah.
You just laid out who does what.
Yeah.
You did the hard part already.
Yeah.
You've already said what their categories are, but it needs to be in writing.
Okay.
All of it needs to be in writing.
Yeah. Y'all would suggest to do it in writing, even like Because me and my grandma, we just started working together. So you would recommend me
what
do it?
What does that have to do with anything?
You would recommend I still put it in writing now?
Let's do it. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
You've worked a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When they hired you, was there agreement?
Yes.
Was there training in there as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you signed an agreement before you started training, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same principle even within your business. There might be a trial period. You may be trying to figure things out, but there still needs to be some form of agreement so that you can know that, like, you're protecting yourself because it's your business, but you're also protecting them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because you're protecting them from themselves.
Yeah.
You never know what could happen, right? So you want to make sure that you have the agreement first.
That's good.
Nothing moves without an agreement.
And business entity.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Is it under a business entity, or are you just doing this? You need to ask yourself these questions.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want this to be a big company, or is it just a hobby?
Right. Definitely a big company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it a hobby right now?
Yeah. Because I feel like right now, like, that's why what you were saying earlier resonated with me so much, because I've kind of been balancing the thing of, like, not getting full-time in my brand too early, because especially clothes, it's like a lot of money I have to invest.
For sure.
And so I've been trying to figure out, like, okay, what can I do so I can maybe build something else, or like work on my own skill set, because a lot of people ask me like for clothing brand advice. So I'm like, okay, maybe work on my, like, start up something where I can, like, mentor people or something like that in their brands, and then use that for the brand instead of just relying solely on brand money right now.
Yeah, with brands, I've had my own clothing brand. I know my mom has had probably dozens of them.
And we still do.
Yeah. So I would always say market first before creating anything.
Okay.
You need to not only do you need the money, but you also need to test. You need to see what they like. So for example, shirts. In order for us to know that this one was the one that people liked, we had like 5-6 different versions.
Yeah.
And we'd only create the sample, or we only create like one shirt, and then we'd put it out there, and then we let the audience tell us which one they liked.
Okay.
Based on which one they like the most, that's the one we put the most dollars into, right? And so once you have that, then you know that the audience wants that. You're not just finessing a brand. Do you get what I'm saying? In regards to your particular case, it's not a bad idea to consult with other people and get the finances and fund your own brand. But the thing is that funding is nice, but then what's the bottleneck of that? You'll just have a whole bunch of inventory with no marketing. So what I would do that's better is maybe start focusing on pre-ordering.
Okay.
Like say, hey, I have before pre-order, maybe do a wait list. So I'd say, hey, I have a brand. And waitlist may be outdated. It depends on the brand. If you want to do waitlist or pre-order, that's a personal choice. But I would say, hey, I have this brand. You'd market it. Depending on how many sales you get is depending on if they like it or not. The reason why I like waitlist is if you have 25 people or more that join the waitlist, then you have somebody. You have something. That's data that you can be like, you know what, I should do this.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? With the pre-order, if you get some sales, then you have something. You can literally be like, oh yeah, somebody wants this. And I'm not talking friends and family buying this.
Right.
I'm talking strangers.
For sure, yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So like people that you've never known that wanted something, that's how you know that this is something that your audience want. So I would instead of creating a whole bunch of products, more of the story to tie it in a bow, is create some samples and then have them pre-order it. And then you are out here saying, okay, which one have they liked the most? You analyze the data, and then you go from there.
That's good. I feel like that's with. So I'm definitely gonna look into doing the pre-order method again, because I did it before, but I haven't. I need to revisit that. But with the mats, the way that started was literally like what people were telling me, because I was at a pop-up shop. Yeah, I was at a pop-up shop. And I just had a rug for myself. And people were coming over like, oh, are you selling this? And Trey, because my friends were there too, Jayda and Trey. And we're like, no, I'm like, this is just for decoration. And then later on, Trey was like, you should actually sell that, because people are in, like, a lot of people were asking me. So I'm like, okay,
I put some marketing dollars on it. Then
That was your test.
Yeah. So I just put some marketing dollars on it. Just figure out which one sells the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that is good. for me, what I basically do, I'm a graphic designer, and pretty much like to answer what y'all said, like at this point, I'm a solopreneur, and I'm thinking of ways like how do I scale this, because I don't want to just be a graphic designer. The overall vision is to create a creative agency or in a media company. And so now I'm looking for ways to be able to expand, because there's only so much time in a day. I'm only one person to be able to fulfill X amount of orders in 24 hours. So with that being said, my family has asked on multiple occasions, how could they get involved? My mom has said, well, maybe I can help you do the graphics so you can, do it. My little brother has even said, I want you to get back into, doing your content on YouTube and stuff. And I'm just like, it's a lot to take on. Yeah. And so, now I'm looking for ways to be able to scale it aside from just being a graphic designer.
You want to answer this, or can I?
It's really one question that'll answer all that right there.
Okay, go ahead. You said.
What brings the most value to the marketplace out of all those options?
I had a different answer, but
you can ask the question afterwards.
Yeah. What brings the most value to the marketplace? Would it be marketing?
You told me. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Marketing, I would say.
Okay, so if it's marketing, then the next question is how much revenue. This would be a personal question, so you have to be honest. You have to be like, am I comfortable explaining numbers in public?
Yeah.
Right? Are you comfortable explaining that?
Am I comfortable explaining numbers?
How much money you make, revenue, all that. Okay, how much revenue do you make? Which one brings in the most revenue first?
Marketing or like creating the graphics?
You tell me.
Yeah. Okay.
Which business brings in the most revenue?
Definitely marketing. And the reason I say that is because when I'm doing graphics for people, it has gotten to a point where now people ask me, "Oh, how do you think I should market this?" And so with to answer your question, marketing brings the most revenue.
Marketing brings in the most revenue. Okay. Yeah. How many clients do you get on a regular basis? Let's say per month.
Per month, I'd say at least a good 50 to 60.
50 to 60 new clients or existing? Existing. How many new clients do you get per month?
I don't know that number.
Now we know what the bottleneck is. So now you need to identify what is that number, and then how can I get more of that number? And then you want to build on that until something breaks, meaning that you can only take so many orders for so many people. Then that tells you, hey, I may need to start hiring more graphic designers. I may need to start delegating. So what you're doing is you're building a business based off more problems. And then what you're going to do is you're going to solve the problem. Yeah. But these aren't like bad problems. These are good problems, right? So once you've established a business that's making so much revenue, okay, I can only take in myself, so let's say 50 clients in a month, and I'm getting in a whole nother 20 that's about to come in. Oh yeah, maybe I should start delegating now. Maybe I should start having 2 graphic designers, and I don't even do the graphics anymore. I just focus on the business owner and bringing in a new business.
For sure.
Do you see what I'm saying?
And that's kind of what I was going to say, because it's like, if you're doing the graphics, that means you're taking up a whole lot of time.
For sure.
And therefore, you can't really market the way you want.
Yeah.
So if you got help, and there's plenty of people that you can go to, places where you can go and you can show them your way of designing. Because when you're dealing with people that are going to be working under your brand, they need to know your style. So when people are getting those graphics, it still looks like it's something that's coming from you.
For sure.
And that would allow you to do more marketing, like Markus said.
Yeah.
Because 50, 60.
That's normally the bottleneck is, like, when it comes to me posting content or marketing, it's like, I got these orders to fulfill. Yeah. I don't have time to sit here. And
so
you need to delegate.
That right now automatically says that you need to get somebody to help you with your graphics.
Yeah.
But you have to show them your style, so it always still looks like you. And nobody needs to know that you have a team at this moment in time. Okay, it's always about we got it. You say we, so you're not telling the tale. Okay, but they don't need to know all the ins and outs until you truly blow up. You just say, my team, my team, our team, our team. That way they know, and then it takes you out of the equation because they're always coming to you, and you're like, wait a minute, you got to talk to assistant. You got to talk to,
Yep.
That is good, because I've worked with some people, because this is just the standard level of, what I've been taught of just delegating. And when it comes to delegating, I kind of go back and forth with it, because I'll have my moments where I'm fully in it and I'm like, okay, I'll let these designers work on this. And then I kind of like get in that sense of like taking control where I'm just like, I'll do it myself. And that's not effective. So.
No, you
So
delegate off constraints.
So I come from the same background. Mine was architecture and interior
She'd be the
design.
best one to talk to about
Okay,
this.
and then I was in graphics as well. Okay,
Yep.
so the thing about that is, do you have your contracts agreements?
No.
You don't have an independent contractor agreement?
No.
So you
Well,
don't have a rights
sounds
agreement?
like I'll send you one after the podcast.
Yeah, so you don't that. I'm talking about the rights. So when you're creating graphics, are you?
Yeah, there's a licensing agreement that you need to
Yeah,
have.
where's your licensing agreement?
That's crazy, because my stepdad has told me that in the past, and I just kind of ignored it.
See,
That's
and this
crazy.
was before I
this
even
is
got.
you not wanting to listen to mummification.
Yeah.
People. They know something.
They know a little something, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
They know a little something. That's the thing, because like the reason why that's so important is because if you create a design for the client is technically not the client's design. That's still yours.
Still yours, yeah.
Do you feel what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
legally, you would still have to sign a licensing agreement, or the agreement that you're sending them would have to have a clause that states that this is your
Yeah.
design.
Because then you need to release it.
Yeah, you got to release the rights to them.
But
So
if
you
they
would
don't
just do that.
ask for it, if they don't ask for the release, or if you don't, if you, because you charge for that. Now we're giving you some free 99 game here.
For real.
Right.
This
Give
is
you some
good
game
food.
right now.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's even the same for the contractors. If you were to delegate if you were to hire graphic designers in the independent contractor agreement, there needs to be a clause that states all the creatives that you create belongs to the company.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That's also the bottleneck too of what I would think, because it's like, okay, well, if I'm sending you this, now it's your design in a sense, and I'm like, I don't even know how to go about all of that, but
Now
that
you
is
know.
really insightful.
That's really important.
I'll give it to you
for
after the
to
podcast.
know.
Thank you.
It is imperative, because let's just say it becomes a Nike logo.
Facts.
I've seen that where the lady from Nike, she got paid roughly $35 just for the logo.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
She did. Not knowing that logo was, and you can, and there are different ways to do logos, right? So you can do royalties with graphics, right? So like, I've been doing it too, so I know a little something, you know what I'm saying? But like, you do royalties with graphics. So you say, hey, if it gets on, I'm gonna give you an example, great example, music. Anytime you were to buy, if you get a beat, there's a certain amount of streams that you can use that beat for. And so you can do the same thing with your logo. You can say, hey, you can only use this for a certain amount of platforms, or whatever they call it in the logo world. And
Digital.
digital download
yeah.
or something like that. You can only have 10,000 digital downloads or something like that.
Right.
And then after 10,000, then it costs this much for you to get the logo. And then it also, with that much, you can only get 100,000 digital downloads off of it. That's how you really scale when it comes to like in graphics. You feel what I'm saying?
For sure.
And you can definitely do that in your lane for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, I need to see this lane, man.
Oh, she got they got the little crinkles or whatever flowing over here. You know what I'm
Look,
saying?
I'll show you afterwards for
Okay.
sure.
All
Yeah.
right.
She done went viral and everything. I
Oh,
was like,
shoot, snap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big one.
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
that's really all it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope we answered your questions for sure too.
Oh.
No,
Over-delivered.
definitely. Yes, for sure. I'm really happy we got y'all on. Y'all gave a lot of great value. Is there anything? Well, I do want y'all to like let everybody know how they could connect with you, or even just letting them know how they could get your book. But outside of that, is there anything you wish we would have asked or touched on that we didn't get to touch on?
Oh yeah, he did ask about trust a while back that I forgot to mention. Okay, so, and she touched on like a very sliver of time, and I'm gonna make it quick. There are 3 types of trust that you need for a family. There are a 508c1a faith-based organizational trust. That's a very tax way of saying it, so I'm gonna say it in a regular term, which is just a ministry trust. Okay? So you want to have a ministry trust, which, to explain what that means, is, back in the medieval times, you had the Catholic churches, and you know how they always love to divide politics and science with religion.
Yeah.
right? What the ministry trust does is that you are pretty much creating your family as its own church, which means that you have different tax law or tax advantages. That's the word I was looking for. Tax advantages than if you were a regular consumer or a person that's just out here winging it, right? And so you want to have the ministry trust. The second thing is you want to have the family trust, and I'm speaking in the order, right? Second thing you want to have is the family trust, which is what it sounds like, which is what everyone knows it to be. You have put all your assets into the family trust, pass it down to the next generation, blah, 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 blah. And what answers your question was, how does the trust correlate with new family coming into the picture? Is, let's say, I'm going to use us as an example. She has a family trust for the family, but when I start having a family, I need my own family trust.
Okay,
but I'm going to be a successor of her trust, which means that when she expires, I know what around here, but when she expires, then from there, I would then get access to that trust, right? So it's always like assets are building on top of each other. Then the third thing is the business trust, which is what it sounds like. It's for the business, right? So you would have all three of these in place within the family to make sure that you're as protected as possible.
And let me just add last thing. And then if you have any entities, business entities, whether it's a corporation or LLC, those fall up under
the business trust. Yeah,
it's going up. Okay, so that's why I was saying everything flows up and then it flows right back down to the beneficiaries. So that's how you would. That's why we're the Fampreneurs.
Okay, cool.
This is really
Come on,
good.
Fampreneurs.
This is like
Yep.
an incredible episode.
Yeah.
This is why we're here.
So you asked where we are. I am at Tamara, TAMARRA Allen, ALLEN, on all social media platforms.
For
and
sure.
the Fampreneurs, THEFAMPRENEURS.
Yes. And I'm Markus Turner Official with a K, MARKUS. Turner, as in Turner Field Official. And if you all want to get access to our Black Rockefellers book, you can find it in the description below, because we're going to give y'all an affiliate.
That's
You feel
right.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to provide that for the people.
Yeah.
And it's going to break down everything that we talked about on this podcast and more.
Look, I'm getting that book, okay?
Yeah, y'all might as well pass it. Y'all can pass it down.
That would be dope.
We'll bring another one next
We'll
time.
bring a couple more for you.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm excited though. I'm excited to read that for sure. And I feel like now I feel more just excited about working with my dad and even
That's
seeing
great.
how I could bring in other family members because I have a cousin who's had like a very successful charity organization. She no longer does it now, but I know that's still a passion of hers. So even seeing, okay, well, from her skills of knowing how to build a charity organization and it running for a while and
That
things
could be
like
in the
that.
ministry trust.
Yeah, like what skills could I bring into, my brand? And so, yeah, the wheels are turning. So
Here's
it's
a
for
great
sure.
here's a great way you can do it.
Family's asset. Everybody is an
Yep.
asset to
Yeah.
what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Just as long as it's in writing and you have it under an entity and it's under a trust, so everybody is protected. That's the most important thing. We as Black and brown people have a bad way of, oh, we good, we cool,
Yeah.
da 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 da, and then
Yep.
y'all be getting into it.
Yeah.
You must put it in writing. Everything that you
Absolutely.
do must be in an entity, in a trust, and in writing.
Yeah.
And here's how it can benefit. And I wasn't going to mention it when I was bringing out the structures, but in your case, this is how we would set it up. And you're going to be like, oh, I never thought of this before. I know. I'm just going to say it in advance. Okay. So what happens is, let's say you bring in $100,000 in a year from your business, right? And remember the tiers of trust that we mentioned in the entities. They're all entities. Let's say you bring 100,000. Of course, you're gonna pass through that 100,000 through the business trust. Each trust has 10 to 37% of taxes internally.
Okay.
So when people say you don't pay taxes on a revocable trust, but we focus on irrevocable trust, just so that there is complete clarity on that, right? There are taxes in irrevocable trust. There are no taxes in a revocable trust. But here's the benefit of having an irrevocable trust, and all the trust that we stated. And I'm going to speed through it. if you have 100,000 in your case, you made that year. What's great about these trusts is they have something called 100% distribution.
Yeah.
So that means it's called a pass-through entity, which means that you can pass through that 100,000 from that LLC through the business trust to the family trust, right? Now the family trust, family got expenses, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you got like 50,000 in expenses, right? Now that 100,000 went to 50,000, right? Now, but guess what? You have a nonprofit, which guess what? In a nonprofit, you can donate bare minimum 5% per year, maximum 60%, depending if it's a public charity.
Yeah.
Right? And if it's a private charity, I think it's 30%. But let's go off the 60% because most people know about that, right? That 50,000, if you donate 60%, what's 60% of 50,000? 30,000. This is why she's the human calculator. 30,000 goes to, you can donate that to the charity or the ministry trust. Now you're left with $30,000 that you just need to pay taxes on instead of 100.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that 30,000 in that profit, that nonprofit, now you can give grants out to yourself or to other people or whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like the thing that people, this is why every billionaire has a charity.
That makes sense.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like they
sense.
give themselves grants. They give other people grants. They give back to other charities. They do other things because it came from their own income.
That makes sense.
And the trust could pay your bills.
Yeah.
So
that's the way that could benefit.
That is really, really great information. I'm gonna have to rewatch this. Like,
No, I wanted to put on my phone, write a little note.
Literally.
You could have.
But no, we really do appreciate y'all for coming on. Yanni, you wanna let them know?
Yeah, where they can find us. So make sure you guys are listening and streaming on audio. If y'all are not, it's a Growing Painz podcast. And also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Growing Painz Pod. And yeah, you guys can follow me, Yanni Bradshaw, and my clothing brand Wise Label.
For sure. And you can follow me at Tre'Vion and my creative agency at RoyalTMadeIt. Let's get it.
And y'all can follow me at I am Jayda Ellis on Instagram, and my clothing brand is at Jaell Official.
What's something they should comment? Fampreneur?
Family.
You know what I thought about?
Comment family.
Family. Okay, we could do family.
That made me think about that sound in the club. We all fam.
I was thinking that earlier.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, y'all comment down below family. But
Yes,
and also
yes.
support them as well. But
Definitely.
we'll see you guys in our next episode.
Yes, bye y'all.
Oh.